Shalom. Thanks for checking this video out at the Cracked Pot channel, where we are all a little bit cracked up due to this journey called life. In this video, we are going to be learning about an interesting subject concerning the spirit world and its rulers, specifically the morning stars. Most of us are familiar with the beginning of the Bible, where it says in Genesis 1:1, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." He alone created the spiritual world with all its heavenly beings, as well as the physical with its natural beings. The two are always interacting with one another, whether we realize it or not. It is important to have the foundational understanding that Yah, which is a shortened form of the name of God, is the supreme ruler and creator of everything, both of the visible and invisible realms. There is no God above him or like Yah. Nehemiah chapter 9:6. You alone are Yod He Vav He. You have made the heaven of heavens, with all their host, the earth and everything on it, the seas and all that is in them, and you preserve them all. The host of heaven worship you. The Creator not only created physical stars, but also spiritual stars. These spiritual stars, often called morning stars, were already present when Yah created the earth. We are going to listen to a section of scripture where God talks to Job, read to us by word of promise. This is Job chapter 38, verses 1 through 7.
Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind.
Who is this who darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Now prepare yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who determined its measurements? Surely you know. Or who stretched the line upon it? To what were its foundations fastened? Or who laid its cornerstone when the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy?
So, in looking at verse 7 of Job 38, when the morning stars, Boker, Kokab, sang together, and all the sons of God, Benai Elohim, shouted for joy. Several translations will use the word angel, which is the Hebrew word malak and means messenger. The word here is not malak, it is Benai Elohim, which are the spiritual beings of Yah's creation, often translated as sons of God. God wants a family and designed both a heavenly family as well as an earthly one. The term Benai Elohim would include angels, but also all spiritual beings, each group having different hierarchies and functions. Morning stars are a type of being involved in ruling. The Boker has to do with the brilliant or shining associated with the bright light of the dawn. And the Kokab is a word for star. It can be physical or spiritual in nature. All morning stars are Benai Elohim, but not all Benai Elohim are morning stars. Think of it this way. All dogs are animals, but not all animals are dogs. Some Benai Elohim are angels or other types of spiritual beings. Morning stars and angels are not the same type of spiritual being. Psalms 89, verses 5 through 7. Let the heavens praise your wonders, O Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, your faithfulness in the assembly of the holy ones. For who in the skies can be compared to Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh? Who among the heavenly beings is like Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh? A God greatly to be feared in the council of the holy ones, and awesome above all who are around him. Yah has a divine council with some of his select holy ones, or B'nai Elohim. It's essential to remember that Yah created them, not the other way around, and that each has free will just as we do. Let's look now at Isaiah 40:26. Lift up your eyes on high and see who has created these things, who brings out their hosts by number. He calls them all by name, by the greatness of his might and the strength of his power. Not one is missing. And another great verse, Psalm 147:4. He counts the number of the stars. He calls them all by name. Consider the awesomeness of our God to call each star, both physical and supernatural, by name. Galaxies upon galaxies of visible stars. Only God knows how many spiritual stars he created. Yeshua says in Luke chapter 12:7 that even the hairs on our heads are all numbered. Now, some of us have more than others. Some definitely have a few missing. And I have strange thoughts sometimes when pondering this concept. And I look at my hairbrush and think, are these hairs 58, 72, and 103? Or when I see a large crowd in a football stadium and I think, God not only knows everyone's name, but each person's hair count. I expand that to the city, the country, the planet. It's mind-boggling. I'm using these illustrations to drive home the point that the Creator is a God intimately involved with all of his creation. He is paying close attention. Not even a bird falls to the ground without him noticing. And that is found in Matthew chapter 10:29. So at one point, Yah's creation was absolutely perfect. But as free will is given to all, some of these morning stars became corrupt. Job 15, verses 15 and 16. If God puts no trust in his holy ones, if even the heavens are not pure in his eyes, how much less man, who is vile and corrupt, who drinks injustice like water. It is a sad fact that some in Yah's spiritual creation rebelled against him. This is shown all throughout the Bible. One in particular came against Yah in a big way. And there's a passage in Revelation telling about a third of the stars joining the evil one in rebellion. Keep in mind, this means a whole range of spiritual beings, not just angels. Psalms 82:1. God stands in the congregation of the mighty. He judges among the gods. This is a verse, once again, demonstrating Yah's superiority in his assembly, council, or court. Those other gods are the B'nai Elohim. Some of us can get a little queasy when we think about other gods. It's not that they don't exist, they do, but they are inferior created spiritual beings. Yah is the King of kings, Lord of lords, and God of gods. Psalms 97:9. For you, O Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, are most high over all the earth. You are exalted far above all gods. There are some important things to know about the Hebrew word Elohim, translated God or gods. On the graphic, you will see it in Hebrew, which is read from right to left. Elohim is made up of the letters Aleph, Lamed, He, Yod, and Mem Sofit. Now first, Elohim looks plural because in Hebrew, the I am at the end of a word is like adding an S to the end of a word in English. Like dogs are many, and from dog, which is one. However, Elohim can be singular. It is more equivalent to the English word sheep. It simply depends on the sentence structure. Example, my sheep Wooly loves eating granola. That's a singular sheep. Those sheep do not like to eat granola. That's a plural sheep. It is the same word. It all depends on the sentence structure as to whether the English word sheep is singular or plural. The same thing happens with the Hebrew word Elohim. The second thing we need to know about Elohim is it is a generic term applied to all spiritual beings. It is not an indicator of a good or bad or any other attributes. In the Bible, you will find many spirit beings translated as Elohim. Here's a list of some. One you will see translated often as Elohim is Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, which is the supreme ruler and creator of all things. You'll have other spiritual rulers translated as Elohim, lesser gods, angels can be translated as Elohim, even disembodied human spirits. An example of this one is when the medium of Endor brings Samuel up from the dead at the request of King Saul. The wording is Elohim. You can find that in 1 Samuel 28:13. And lastly, yes, even a demon can be translated from the word Elohim. So we can see, just because you read the word God in English, it is not signifying anything other than this is a spirit being. Let's look at that verse in Psalms 82 again. Okay, so here we are in Psalms 82:1 again, but we see the Hebrew words. So God, Elohim, stands in the congregation of the mighty. He judges among the gods, Elohim. The structure of the singular and the plural are pretty obvious. Also, when reading, we of course know what God it is talking about, as He is the Most High, and it is His Word and His Bible that we are reading. If it is another God, we will see it in both the sentence structure, which will make it clear, and the name or other distinction will be attached to it. For example, gods of Moab, or the God of the Philistines, and so on. In this council of the sons of God, B'nai Elohim, our God reigns, rules, and judges. Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh put spiritual rulers, B'nai Elohim, in charge of the nations at the time of Babel. Let's look at that. So Deuteronomy 32, verses 8 and 9. When the Most High gave the nations their inheritance, when He divided the sons of man, He set the boundaries of the people according to the number of the sons of God. But Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh's portion is His people, Jacob his allotted inheritance. Many translations have, instead of sons of God, they will have children of Israel. And this is an incorrect translation. The Dead Sea Scrolls that have been recovered clearly indicate that it says B'nai Elohim, which means sons of God. And this makes sense because Israel did not even exist at this time. It wasn't a nation yet, and it is not listed on the table of nations. This is when God decided to split mankind up according to the languages. He chose his portion or his own nation and people that would worship him and him alone, and he would start with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. At this point, Yah did not expect any other nations or peoples to worship him. Each nation will have their own religious structure with not only their gods, but a ruling prince to oversee the nation. God made a plan to redeem all the nations back to himself. When he saw the injustice of these gods, he became angry when those other gods promoted evil acts and wickedness. We are now going to listen to the entire Psalm 82, read to us by Bread of Life.
Psalm 82, a psalm of Asaph. God stands in the congregation of the mighty. He judges among the gods. How long will you judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? Selah. Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Free them from the hand of the wicked. They do not know, nor do they understand. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are unstable. I said, You are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. But you shall die like men, and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for you shall inherit all nations.
And so, to recap, at the incident at the Tower of Babel, God changed man's language from one to many, and it is at this point when he sets up the division of the nations, and each of them with their gods. Psalms 82 is talking about supernatural events and not about any earthly judges. It clearly indicates that these gods are judged for their wicked behavior and will become mortal like man and die. I believe this means at some point when the judgment happens that they will be terminated. They are no longer eternal. In verse 7, it mentions that they will be like the princes, and in some translations it will use the word rulers. These are the fallen morning stars. As we go further along in this video, the connection between morning stars' rulership and the gods will be made clear. We are now going to learn some fascinating new things that will challenge you to look at passages in your Bible in a new way. So hang tight. You do not want to miss the next part. Now, stars in ancient times were used figuratively to describe a prince or a ruler. There were often specific astrological events to herald Yah's divine plan, as his plan is always to have his two families working together to achieve his will. A great secular example from the life of Moses and tying a star to a physical person is in the classic movie, The Ten Commandments. So we are going to listen to a really short clip of this great movie.
Divine One, last night our astrologers saw an evil star enter into the house of Egypt.
Meaning war?
From the frontiers of Sinai and Libya to the cataracts of the Nile, what nation would dare draw the sword against us?
The enemy to fear is in the heart of Egypt.
What?
The Hebrew slaves in the land of Goshen.
I number my enemies by their swords, not by their chains, High Priest.
Chains have been forged into swords before now, Divine One. Among these slaves there is a prophecy of a deliverer who will lead them out of bondage. The star proclaims his birth.
Then let the Hebrews die.
This is a prophecy of Moses written thousands of years before Yeshua is born. Numbers chapter 24, verse 17. I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near. A star will come forth from Jacob, and a scepter will arise from Israel. He will crush the skulls of Moab and strike down all the sons of Sheth. This is not the only place where a star is connected to Yeshua. We are already familiar with the traditional Christmas story and that bright star that shines down on where Yeshua was born. But consider the fact that the wise men actually came 2 to 3 years later. So let's take a look at some familiar passages in a new way. Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and have come to worship him. Now, some things to consider about this passage. It is clear that the star is no longer visible, for if it was, they would not need to ask for directions. Still in Matthew chapter 2, let's look at verses 9 and 10. When they heard the king, they departed. And behold, the star which they had seen in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. Now, the distance between Jerusalem and Bethlehem is about 5.6 miles, or 9 kilometers. Read what it says. They left the king in Jerusalem, and the star appeared. This is more than just a star in the night sky. Let's reason this out. They saw the star when they were back home, but no longer see it as they arrive in Jerusalem asking for directions. When they depart from the king, it reappears and travels 5.6 miles with them and stood over where Yeshua currently was. They were filled with joy to see this star, which they had previously seen back home. Does this sound like an object in outer space shining down? When I read the passages and consider the distance between Jerusalem and Bethlehem, and that stars can also be spirit beings, I see these verses in a whole new light. If the word was angel instead of star, we would have no problem in seeing the supernatural event play out. So, let's look at it that way and read it with the word angel. When they heard the king, they departed, and behold, the angel which they had seen in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the angel, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. If it was read like that, we'd have no problem seeing the supernatural happenings here. But because we are often not taught that stars are spiritual beings too, yes, there are physical stars, but there are also spiritual stars, we can read this particular passage over and over and not see it for what it is truly saying. We are now going to cover some material that might be a little bit shocking. You will need to conduct your own research and draw your own conclusions. It seems we have all been misled when we were told that the authors of the New Testament wrote in Greek. Over the past few years, authenticated scrolls and manuscripts of nearly the entire New Testament have been found in Hebrew, and it leaves no doubt upon translation that it was first, and the Greek is a secondary translation from the original Hebrew. Many scholars are hard at work translating these documents into English, and some even have hard copies of the books of the New Testament currently up for sale. A website I like is called www.hebrewgospels.com. I'll also put the link in the description of this video. I think it's a great resource site, and it explains the process of verifying and authenticity of these manuscripts. It has photocopies of the original documents, so if you read Hebrew, you can check it out for yourself, and it has free PDFs of translated books. Like, for example, it's got Matthew, it's got John, it's Jude. They've even got teaching videos to work through the material. Most of the translations line up with the Greek, but where it doesn't, it is a bit disturbing to read. So is Yeshua, Jesus, a morning star? Many would say yes, based on Revelation 22:16. But let's examine the original text next to the Greek and see what it says. The one at top is the one from HebrewGospels.com. It is taken from the Hebrew book of Revelation. I, Yeshua, sent my messenger to show this to the assembly. Even I am the root of the family of David. The one on the bottom is taken from the New King James Version. I, Jesus, have sent my angel to testify to you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David, the bright and morning star. This is quite startling to see what all English Bibles taken from the Greek have added on to the end of this verse. The Hebrew book of Revelation has no morning star in the verse. This add-on has caused a whole host of issues and spawned cults and confusion. Yeshua is the creator of all beings. He's not an angel or a morning star. He's not Michael the archangel, and he's not Satan's brother or equal on any level. This is taken from the Hebrew Gospel of John. Yochanan means John. We're reading from chapter 1, verses 1 through 4. In the beginning was the Son of Elohim. The Son of El was both with El, and the Son of El was Elohim. This one was in the beginning with El. All things were made by him, and without him nothing was made of that which was made. For he is life. This life is the lamp of men. Now the translators are using the words El and Eloah instead of the English word God. And I really like how this original translation says son instead of word, because it makes it so much more personal. Yeshua was in the beginning, and it clearly states he created all things. This includes morning stars. Now, perhaps some would say, well, B'nai Elohim are sons of God, and he's called the Son of God, and so he must be B'nai Elohim. In John 3:16, where it says that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, the word in Greek for only begotten is, I'm going to try to pronounce this, monogenes, which means unique. There is no other being like Yah. There is no other being like Yeshua. He is the only unique Son of God, not a creation of many types like the B'nai Elohim. And what about where it says in Revelation chapter 2 to the church of Thyatira, for whoever overcomes, that Yeshua will give them the morning star? Well, I'm going to let you go look that up for yourself if you're interested. Now, both the kingdom of light and the kingdom of darkness has a spiritual hierarchy. The best example of this in Scripture is found in Ephesians 6. Ephesians 6:12 says, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places." It is the princes, rulers, or morning stars that are in the first hierarchy, ruling over entire nations. These spiritual rulers are not the same as the gods that are worshipped, but they do work in tandem to control the spiritual atmosphere of a region. A great example of this spiritual principle is found in Acts chapter 7, where Stephen is rebuking the religious leaders. Let's look at that verse, where he is quoting from the book of Amos. Acts chapter 7, verse 43. "You also took up the tabernacle of Moloch and the star of your god, Rampha, images which you made to worship, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon." All right, let's listen now to Daniel chapter 10, verses 1 through 13. I want you to pay attention to the supernatural elements and the usage of the word prince.
In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a message was revealed to Daniel, whose name was called Belteshazzar. The message was true, but the appointed time was long. And he understood the message and had understanding of the vision.
In those days I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks. I ate no pleasant food, no meat or wine came into my mouth, nor did I anoint myself at all, till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. Now on the 24th day of the 1st month, as I was by the side of the great river, that is, the Tigris, I lifted my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose waist was girded with gold of Uphaz. His body was like beryl, his face like the appearance of lightning, his eyes like torches of fire, his arms and feet like burnished bronze in color, and the sound of his words like the voice of a multitude. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men who were with me did not see the vision. But a great terror fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. Therefore I was left alone when I saw this great vision, and no strength remained in me, for my vigor was turned to frailty in me, and I retained no strength. Yet I heard the sound of his words, and while I heard the sound of his words, I was in a deep sleep on my face, with my face to the ground. Suddenly, a hand touched me, which made me tremble on my knees and on the palms of my hands. And he said to me,
O Daniel, man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak to you, and stand upright, for I have now been sent to you.
While he was speaking this word to me, I stood trembling. Then he said to me,
Do not fear, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart to understand and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come because of your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days, and behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I had been left alone there with the kings of Persia. Now I have come to make you understand what will happen to your people in the latter days, for the vision refers to many days yet to come.
The region where Daniel was located had passed from Babylonian rule to Persian. The supernatural prince of Persia was fighting to prevent the messenger from getting through, and Michael is the one who helped. Now, Michael is listed as one of the chief princes. What's his territory or people group? It's Israel. Yah is the God they were to worship, and Michael is in charge of the protection and the ruling structure. Daniel 10:20 says, Then he said, Do you know why I have come to you? And now I must return to fight with the prince of Persia. And when I have gone forth, indeed the prince of Greece will come. What empire toppled the Persian Empire? It was Greece. The princes, or morning stars, battle among each other to be the reigning position or have the reigning position over a nation. The stars fight one another, and the morning stars, or princes, rule. Another illustration of this is found in the book of Judges, where the children of Israel are fighting to overthrow the ruler, Sisera. Judges chapter 5:20. From the heavens, the stars fought. From their courses, they fought against Sisera. And we know who won that battle, and it was Deborah and Barak on the ground fighting with their forces at the same time that the stars are fighting in the heavens against Sisera. Now, this means that Sisera is both an earthly ruler and also represented by a prince in the heavenlies. This is a great example of God's heavenly family and earthly family working together to achieve His creed for freedom for His people. No video on morning stars would be complete without taking a look at the morning star whose pride caused his downfall, and whose hatred of humankind and malicious trickery caused death to enter the world. We are going to listen to the verses in Isaiah 14 about his pride and downfall. I have decided to use the ESV audio version because both the King James and the New King James use the word Lucifer. The word Lucifer is Latin, and the way it reads in the scriptures makes people think it is an actual name. It isn't. The word in the Hebrew is not a proper noun or a name. It is simply an attribute, meaning the shining one. It is the word Hallel. Once again, Lucifer in Latin, or even Hallel in Hebrew, is not a name. In fact, you will not find the name of the enemy of our souls anywhere in the Bible. Even the word Satan or Satan is not a name, but a description, and it means adversary. This omission of having no specific name is deliberate. It is no accident. Remember whose book it is that you are reading. There is power in a name, and no power is given in God's holy word to the enemy of our souls. As Hallel means a shining one, a language example of this would be like in Spanish, the word gordito, which means little fat one. We may know that gordito is Miguel, but it's not his actual given name. It's a word used to describe Miguel. Now, many scholars believe that the passages we are going to listen to in Isaiah chapter 14 describe the evil one's fall. Let's listen to this in Isaiah 14, verses 12 through 14.
How you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of dawn! How you are cut down to the ground, you who laid the nations low. You said in your heart,
I will ascend to heaven, above the stars of God. I will set my throne on high. I will sit on the Mount of Assembly in the far reaches of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High.
It wasn't good enough to be a morning star. He wanted to be the top star, above all the stars and all the hosts or all the rest in the assembly. He wanted to be like the Most High. 1 John 3:8 says, the Son of God came to destroy the devil's work. Yeshua came that we may have life and crush the power of death. John 12:31. Now is the time for judgment on this world. Now the prince of this world will be driven out. This is Yeshua speaking about the morning star or prince of this world losing his place. John 14:30. I will not say much more to you, for the prince of this world is coming. He has no hold over me. Yeshua is using great wisdom and being quiet about what's about to take place. He does not want to give away the master plan to the enemy. Death will have no hold on him, and because of his sacrifice, it will have no hold on us either. 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verses 7 and 8. Now we speak of the mysterious and hidden wisdom of God, which he destined for our glory before time began. None of the rulers of this age understood it, for if they had, they would have not crucified the Lord of glory. We are made alive in Yeshua, and we are no longer under that fallen morning star. Let's look at a verse that shows us that. Ephesians chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. And you he made alive, who were dead in trespasses and sins, in which you once walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit who now works in the sons of disobedience. It is Yah's plan to bring life to all through Yeshua. It is also through his unique Son that he will restore the nation and dethrone all the power structures of the current regime, both in the spiritual and the physical, when Yeshua returns. I hope you've enjoyed this video and learned some new things. Thank you for taking the time to watch it. And if you liked it, share it with someone you think might enjoy it too. May Abba Samayin, our Heavenly Father, bless you and shine his light in your heart where he alone rules.